Project Purvodaya, which, as you know, is a culmination of the Rockies and the Far East and the Act East policies. At the outset, let me share a happy secret with you. As a governor, I have had the opportunity to attend many conferences like this all over India. One apprehension to place before Haridwar. I see a lot of photographers here. I went for an international conference of doctors in Kolkata. Excellent conference. There was a photographer who had the latest technology in photography. He took my photograph, did some editing then and there, and gave me a photograph which resembled like a blend of Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan. I looked like that. Proudly I showed my photograph to my wife. You know what she said? She looked at the photograph and told me, better than the original. So please don't give me any photograph from here. See, I'm also kind of a writer. I take pride in that. In fact, more than being addressed as a former civil servant, as a governor, I would like to be known as a writer. As T.S. Eliot says, the writer's duty is connecting nothing with nothing. On Margate Sands, I connect nothing with nothing. How easy it is for a writer to connect nothing with nothing. And Shakespeare said it's much more simple than that. According to Shakespeare, poet's duty is to give airy nothings a local habitation and a name. To give airy nothings a local habitation and a name. How easy. And here is Wordsworth who tells us how to write poetry. Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, emotions, recollection and tranquility. How easy. And he consulted Philip Sidney. He said it's much more easier to write than this. How to write? He said, look into your heart and write. How easy. Look into your heart and write. But here is Hudson who says, a true poem is born out of life. A true poem is born out of life. So life is what undermines any writing anywhere. Milton says, a good book is a precious lifeblood of a master spirit. A good book is precious lifeblood of a master spirit. Agreed? And some books are to be tasted. Bacon. Some books are to be tasted. Some to be swallowed. And a few to be chewed and digested. Every book follows in this category. Some books are to be tasted. Some to be swallowed. And a few to be chewed and digested. Right? Now, the modern day apprehension, modern day approach to book writing has changed. I remember a youngster who wrote a book, a motivational book. He gave it to the publisher. The publisher read it and found that it's not much of a book, just an attempt by a beginner. But he said they should make good sales. He played some marketing trick. He changed the title of the book a little bit. The change in the title. The book sold 1 million copies in 1 month. A beginner's book sells 1 million copies in 1 month. Then the author becomes wild and he tells the publisher, you have printed the title wrongly. The book title has been wrongly printed. Please correct it. They corrected it. The corrected version sold not even 1 copy. What was the corrected version title? Corrected version? How to change your life in 30 days. No takers. The wrong title was How to Change Your Wife in 30 Days. 1 million copies. So new techniques in selling literature is also there. But we want genuine writers. As Haridwar said, and others also echoed in their own words, a nation needs not only statesmen, politicians and professionals. A nation needs for its glory writers and artists. Can you ever think of India, a Bharat, without Vyasa or Valmiki? Before the concept of poetry came anywhere, It was Valmiki who said, gave us the first poem in the world, Ma Nishada Pratishtam Tomagamasya Shruti Sama Yal Kranjamidinam Avadhihi Kama Mohidam. The first poem we heard in Bharat. Can you ever think of Britain without Milton or Shakespeare? Is there any, who can imagine, visualize Greece without Aristotle, Plato or Socrates? Can you ever think of Paris or France without Victor Hugo, Walter or Rousseau? Yes, we need poets and writers. It is they who take the country's culture to the heart of the people. As you know, anything that happens anywhere now has international ramifications. When the ICCR was set up in 1950, the idea was that, India's soft power. Idea of soft power was not very prominent in those days. Joseph Nye, the Harvard professor, came up with the astounding idea, exposing the power of soft power. He said hard power, that is military power, cannot achieve anything positively. But soft power, art, culture and heritage, that is what going to be the game changers of the world. That has been accepted by every country, particularly by our own Prime Minister. That is why the Kala Bharat program is being launched now. Soft power is very important in the emerging new world. From dependence through independence, we have come to the stage of interdependence. I remember an interesting anecdote. During the time of Vajpayee, who was Prime Minister earlier, he was External Affairs Minister. India hosted an international dinner in Hyderabad House in Delhi. Many heads of states and heads of governments were there, that is presidents and prime ministers. As the dinner started, an Indian waiter dropped a plate of meat, much to the consideration of all the guests. Everybody was embarrassed. An Indian waiter dropping a plate of meat in an international dinner convened by India's Prime Minister. Everybody was embarrassed. Indian waiter dropping a plate of meat in an international dinner. This shows the interdependence of countries. Indian waiter dropping a plate of meat means fall of China. The plate is made of China clay. Fall of China, spread of Greece, isn't it? Dismemberment of Turkey, it has a Turkey on the plate. Dismemberment of Turkey, disappointment for Hungary, isn't it? And same for India. So everything has got international ramifications, any small event. That is why the best that is there in India, the best that is taught in India should go to the world outside as a package of our soft power. This is the beginning of our dissemination of soft power. And I am glad that it is being done in a place like West Bengal. As a student, as a young boy, I had the opportunity to read the books of Tagore and also the great men from Bengal. At the age of 8, I fell in love with Mini as Kabuliwala. Even today, I feel that one of the greatest short stories ever written is the Kabuliwala of Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, we are all imbibed with that, even before knowing what is Bengal. And I come from Kerala. There, in the weekly called Madhubhumi, there will be translations of Bengali novels, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Tarashankar Banerjee. My mother will urge all of us to read that. So, literature for us meant Tagore. Literature for us meant Bengal. And it is very heartening to note that this is being done here. I remember a story of Tagore which I read in my younger days, the bride's household. The young man, he is to get married. He goes to the bride's house with his professor, Mr. Shastri, if I remember the name right correctly. He takes his professor and goes and his relatives and goes to the house of the bride. The bride's house is very good. People are very educated, cultured, they are rich, excellent, relatives are there. Everything is good, and the girl is also very beautiful and fair. But on the way, while they are returning from the bride's house, Professor Shastri, he was sullen and silent. Then he said, don't marry from that household. Why? They have everything. Money is there, power is there, support is there, everything is there. Then what is wrong with them? And Professor Shastri said they have everything there, but they do not have books in that house. They do not have books in that house, so don't marry from there. The young man thought and thought. The choice before him was bride or book, bride or book, bride or book. Finally he decides book, not bride. That is a place from where we are holding this conference, A place where I wrote somewhere there, if you prick a Bengali with a needle, first culture will lose out, then only blood will come. That is the commitment which this state has for culture and also this area. We give our salutations to Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Rabindranath Tagore, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, and of course writers like Vibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay and Srimanta Shankardeva of Assamese, and the great ones in these who have done wrote laurels to themselves and glory to the nation. Yes, we are all proud of them. How do you write? There we of course depend upon our imagination. And imagination is not static, as you know. Imagination has three levels. Samuel Taylor Coleridge speaks in his Biographia Literaria. Primary imagination, secondary imagination, some plastic imagination. Primary imagination all of us have. Secondary imagination, the lyric writers in the movies, they have secondary imagination. What is plastic imagination? Plastic imagination is that in which conflicts reconcile, opposites reconcile, and a unified whole is made. Is it clear? Otherwise you take Kalidasa for instance. For Kalidasa, the relation between Sri Parameswara and Parvati, Mahadeva and Parvati, is like the relation between word and meaning. What a beautiful imagination. The relation between husband and wife is like the relation between word and meaning. Without word there is no meaning. Without meaning there is no word, isn't it? So look at that. I was in the IAS. We lived in the Himalayas for 4 years. Even then I used to, because Masuri Academy is there. I used to appreciate the hills around, the waves that are, the clouds that are wafting on all of you, the beauty of ravines, everything was beautiful. I could only see the Himalayas as a geographical phenomenon. You know what Kalidasa says? Kalidasa says, Astyuttarasyam dishi. Astyuttarasyam dishi devadatma. Astyuttarasyam dishi devadatma. Himalayo nama nagati raja. Astyuttarasyam dishi devadatma. Himalayo nama nagati raja. Purvavara goyanidhi vagatya. Sthita pradeviyam nivamanadanda. See, Bhagavan, Himavan, lies like the measuring rod between two oceans. That is plastic imagination. Plastic imagination takes you to a level where you lose touch with the external world. Your sensibility is not the senses rule over you. An example of this is given in Coleridge's Kubla Khan itself. I do not want to take more of your time. See, Kubla Khan, as you know, the poem arose in his dream. Once the poem was building up in his mind during sleep. People say it is such as opium in this, whatever it is. He hears a knock on the door. The tailor comes and asks for the money for the clothes that were stitched. The poem is lost. But then, the dream fragment he penned down, the great poem Kubla Khan, if I remember correct, in Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately President decree. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately President decree, where all the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to men down to a sunless sea. Think of the meaning. Matti layer symbols